Your thumb finds the skip button first. Somebody on screen is about to give a wedding toast that dies in the first sentence, and you're already 10 seconds ahead of them. Nothing is happening to you. Your body doesn't check. In 2011, a team at Philipps University Marburg put people in an fMRI scanner and showed them strangers walking into glass doors and misreading names at a podium. The scanner lit up the anterior cingulate cortex and the anterior insula. Those are two of the regions that fire when you are the one in physical pain. Not sympathy. Pain. So why does your brain file somebody else's bad moment under your injuries? Call it the secondhand flinch. It's the half second where your shoulders climb, your face goes warm, and some part of you tries to leave the room on behalf of a person you have never met. Soren Krach and the Marburg group published the whole thing in PLOS 1 under the title Your Flaws Are My Pain, which is a strange sentence to find in a neuroscience journal and a very accurate one. Your body files a stranger's bad minute as a small injury with no wound attached. And you weren't even the one who did it. Here's how they got it. The Marburg team didn't hire actors or shoot anything. They drew 50 flat little sketches and gave each one 2 lines of text. A man walking into a plate glass door, a woman getting a name wrong at a podium, somebody waving back at a stranger who wasn't waving at them. Cartoons, a step above a post-it doodle. 32 people went in the scanner. That's all it took. Your pain network doesn't need high production value. It needs a person and a mistake, and it will do the rest of the work itself. Cool. Mystery solved? Except the scanner kept flagging something the design wasn't built to ask about. Everybody assumes the cringe has to travel, that the other person feels it first, it leaks out, and you catch it downwind. That part is wrong, and it's the most confidently repeated wrong thing about this whole reflex. Krach's team crossed intentional blunders against accidental ones, and protagonists who knew what they'd done against protagonists who had no clue anything had gone sideways. Oblivious, cheerful even, and observers still got the full response. Nothing was transmitted to you. Your brain read the room, ran the numbers on how badly that would go for a human being standing there, and charged you for a feeling the actual owner never had. Borrowed shame, generated locally at home, by you, and you weren't even the one who did it. If nothing is arriving from outside, then the charge is being generated in your head, on your equipment, out of your budget. So the next question is whose equipment? The anterior cingulate cortex turned up again in 2003 when Naomi Eisenberger's UCLA group scanned people getting quietly excluded from a simple ball-tossing computer game. No injury, no insult, just being left out of a 5th grade recess in software form. The hardware that flags a broken finger appears to be doing double duty on a broken standing. Your body doesn't look like it built a separate department for social damage. It looks like it reused the pain one, because that circuit was already there and nobody was auditing the decision. So when a stranger bombs a toast, you're not being delicate. You're being alerted by an alarm that can't tell a bruise from a bad first impression. And here's where it gets stupid. An alarm wired into shared hardware ought to go off the same for everybody. This one is metered. The Marburg group scored every volunteer on trait empathy before the scanner, and the higher somebody scored, the harder both regions lit. Correlations running from about 0.28 up to 0.50. So the secondhand flinch isn't a defect in oversensitive people. It's a fee, and the better you are at reading other humans, the bigger your bill. The empathy tax. The exact skill that makes you the person everyone wants at a dinner table is the skill that makes a stranger's failed karaoke land somewhere behind your ribs, which raises a different, dumber question. A body doesn't meter a cost that buys nothing. So, what is the fee buying? We don't survive alone, and we never have. The rules about what gets you mocked in a group are unwritten, and there is no safe way to learn them by testing them personally. So we learned by watching. Albert Bandura showed the cheap version of this in 1965. Children who watched a model get punished for something copied it far less often, without ever having tried it once themselves. Watching somebody else take the hit does the teaching. Every time a person stepped over the line, your ancestors took a jolt and filed the rule. Free tuition, brutal delivery. Your body's unpaid overtime running a training course you never signed up for, and you weren't even the one who did it. Now, count the strangers who fail in front of you before lunch. Robin Dunbar's estimate for a stable human group tops out around 150 people, and that's roughly the scale this system was calibrated for. Inside a group that size, every blunder you witnessed was information about people you'd see again on Tuesday. Your feed doesn't cap at 150. Wedding toasts, auditions, Somebody's coworker mangling a name on a live stream in a city you'll never visit. The pain you didn't order, delivered at industrial volume, teaching you nothing you can use. We built the machine that does this, we pointed it at ourselves, and we call it entertainment. That was a stupid thing to build. So, you skip. Your thumb moves before the sentence even lands, and that's not impatience, that's the secondhand flinch doing its job. Eisenberger and Lieberman's standing hypothesis, published in 2004, is that social pain exists to make you move. An alarm whose whole purpose is getting you away from the thing setting it off. People walk out of a Costco to get clear of a demo guy bombing his pitch. People mute a laptop, close an app, invent an errand. Nobody calls it what it is. You're not bored, you're flinching. And you weren't even the one who did it. Here's the part that turns it around. The flinch was never really about them. The Marburg group kept going, and by 2016, Lena Miller-Pinsler and Crack had found that watching a friend go down doesn't just hit the pain regions harder, it pulls in the precuneus, a chunk of cortex that handles thinking about yourself. Your brain drops you into their position, prices out what it would cost you, and files the result under your own record. The person on screen is a test case. You're the subject. That's why it stings hardest when the blunder is one you could plausibly commit. A toast, an intro, a name you got wrong in front of a room. A stranger flubbing a high school graduation speech lands. A stranger failing a backflip does not. Don't think about that too hard. So, the secondhand flinch was never generosity. It's a private rehearsal, run on borrowed footage, billed to your nervous system. We're the one animal that will pay a physical cost for a person we'll never meet, and then reach for the app and ask for another one. Nobody asked us whether we wanted the shame of strangers routed through our pain wiring. We got it anyway, and it's a lousy deal on a scale it was never built for. Your body has an opinion about where you stand in the group, and it doesn't check with you before it starts hurting. Now you know. Sorry.